no place like the Qube.
Hey, I'm Adell.
And I'm Anna.
And we are AD Productions. Get ready to nod your head and laugh out loud as we bring an unfiltered perspective to Black life in predominantly white spaces. So, welcome to The Head Nod, Season 1, Black Life at a PWI.
From shared stories to dreams set high, in this vibrant tapestry, we touch the sky. Living on campus, we find our place. Black excellence thrives in every embrace. Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. Thank you, ChatGPT. Welcome to The Head Nod.
Boom, boom, boom. You like
You
the
already
remix?
know. I like the
That
remix.
was fire, right?
The little, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
We got a sibling combo today on the show.
That's a good way of calling it.
Sibling combo? Yeah.
Sibling combo, yeah.
2 for 2. I don't know. You know, it's
All
two
the
of them. They can't see them, but they look just alike. It's going to be great.
Identical, okay?
Yeah. Remi and Sophie are in the building. Adell, you going to intro everybody to Sophie?
Yeah, so Sophie, which I'm going to shout out, especially because she's part of the DCP team. Okay, so Sophie Poindexter is a graphic designer and social media manager from Newark, Delaware, based in Pennsylvania. We're going to start that over because that is not a place.
It's not?
All right. Pennsylvania? No.
I'm kidding. No, it's not a place. Ryan, keep it all in.
Keep Pennsylvania. All right, no. So Sophie Poindexter is a graphic designer and social media manager from Newark, Delaware, based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She graduated from the University of Delaware in 2021, little baby, where she majored in visual communications. She loves traveling, live music, and being outside. Get it, Sophie. Welcome, Sophie. Thanks for coming outside and joining us.
Thank you.
Sophie, you're gonna have to say thank you a lot louder. Okay, we get loud on this podcast, Sophie.
You gotta take a note from Remi, okay?
Okay.
Listen.
You're going to have to turn up a little. All right, no, I'm kidding. All right. Remi Poindexter is an art historian and faculty fellow at UNC Asheville. He is also, of course, a Delaware native, and he also graduated from the University of Delaware before moving to New York to pursue a PhD in art history at the Cooney Graduate Center. Now, outside of work, you can find him hiking, playing bar trivia, or cooking up a new recipe, which we got to talk about because I love to eat. Okay. Remi and his sister Sophie have a multicultural, multilingual background of roots in the Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, and French Caribbean. Come on, Remi, you better get it all in there.
With the bio?
Yes.
I want it to be
Yes, I love it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was very thorough. I liked how you included me.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, you're in his bio.
I knew you weren't going to put that, so I put it.
I know.
Here we go. 1 sibling point for Remi so far. So, question to the Poindexter twins. Siblings. So, tell us, we know who you are, but you can say your name again if you like, what you majored in, and what your school call out is. What is the call out from your school? So, for me at Penn State, we said we are. For Anna at Drake, they said
DU.
So what do you got? We'll start with Sophie because Sophie was just like, ooh.
I guess I was like, is it bad if I don't know the call out? No, I think it's just like blue hens. Is that right,
it sounds
Remi?
right.
I'm not even gonna say it that exciting.
Did you say the blue hens?
That's our mascot, the blue hens. Yeah.
I am Googling right now because I want to know
we
what
need
a blue
more.
hen
We need
looks
more.
like.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very ridiculous.
So when you're at the games, you just go blue hens.
Yeah.
Okay, there's your call out right there. Do it again, Sophie.
I had to get in the setting.
Okay. We're gonna do it again. You're at school and there's a game and you shout
blue hens.
Yeah.
In that voice too.
Yeah.
I'm not
Even
gonna
though-
lie, this blue hen is a little gangster.
Yeah.
I can
It
see
is?
the vibe right here.
Let me
The blue hen-
Google it. Now you got me Googling.
The blue hen got a little attitude. It's got like a little
Yeah.
vibe. It's
right,
not
like
just
he's got a little
Yeah,
something.
I know.
a little something in the University of Delaware. I ain't mad at blue hen.
Oh, it does got an attitude problem. Okay. Hey.
It's got a little flavor. So, how did both of you all land at the University of Delaware?
Well, I guess I'll start explaining part of it, and then
Yeah.
Remy can hop in. But our mom worked there. So our mom is French Caribbean. So she was born in Martinique and then grew up in Paris. And she ended up at Delaware. I forget the whole story in between. Ended up marrying my dad, who is from Delaware. And then she got a job at the University of Delaware. I think she's been working there for over 30
Yeah,
years,
that's right.
Remy?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, she's been working there a very long time and does not want to retire. Loves her job.
Yeah, it's true.
But I've had a lot of friends like take her class, which is funny. And even like if I was walking around campus, people would like recognize me from like a family PowerPoint or something she would do because she different people would like look at me. I was like, "Yep, that's me." But it's funny. But yeah, then we both went because we would get
Yeah,
tuition.
that was the major part.
But Remy's 8 years older than me, so he actually graduated in 2012, and I
well,
right?
2013 because I did
2012?
an extra year, but yeah.
Okay, I also did an extra year, so I was like 2020, but then technically
Right,
2021. Yeah, but I'm glad I stayed an extra year because the whole COVID era was rough.
Mhm.
Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Remy, for you, was this the only option? Did you consider any other
I
schools?
remember like I was gonna apply to schools, and then I was like, you know what, I'm definitely gonna go to UD. It's free, and like I just saw the application fee for the only other school I wanted to apply to, which was Penn, and I was like, A, I might not get in. B, it's an expensive fee, and C, I'm definitely going to UD. So, you know.
I love that you stopped at the application.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, all right. Which I feel like
it costs too much to apply.
He said this already costs too
yeah.
much, let alone the
Right?
tuition. Let's not. We don't have to talk about anything else.
Funny. I feel like I didn't understand like what free tuition meant until way too
Mhm.
late, because then I would be like, there's a lot of people from out of state, I guess from Jersey, New York, you'll see at University of Delaware. And I remember just being like someone mentioning the tuition. I was like, you pay how much? And they're like, that's how much I pay. I was like, what? I never even thought. I was like, I never even thought about that.
Mhm.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, school's expensive.
Yeah.
School's
I was
expensive.
I didn't realize school is that expensive.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuition.
Well, here's the thing. Good thing you didn't have to.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't have to realize it. You didn't have to know. I ain't mad. Way to go,
Yeah.
mom.
She had it all planned out.
They got to walk around campus a little lighter than everybody else. Everybody
You
else
feel
is
me?
like debt loads, and y'all are like la la la. Like y'all just got to be out there free. I'm not mad at it at all.
Not at all. No crazy financial aid stories here. Okay, we made it.
I just had to pay for like room and board, I think. Remy didn't
Yeah.
have to pay for room and board, but he's like more
So
of
they
a-
changed the policy through.
No, he's just more of like a school person than I
Yeah,
am.
I got a scholarship for room
Like-
and board.
Oh, so Remy was like free money and free money. Got you. Got you.
I know.
I was
Okay.
like, I have to go to
Yeah,
college.
I love it. So, what did y'all study?
I studied visual communications, which is just graphic design. But UD actually has one of the like top programs in the country, which is really random. So I always knew I wanted to do that program, especially like being in a college town. I guess it's weird, like growing up in a college town, we grew up so close to campus. So I kind of already knew what the departments were like, what majors I would be considering and things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's cool. What
I
about
kind
you,
of
Remy?
like bounced around. I went in like wanting to be a doctor. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to med school. I'm going to do bio. And then I switched to, I triple majored because I do love school. That's why I'm still here. And I did like Spanish, art history, and Latin American studies. And I minored in English.
Wow.
But I was kind of like taking.
He said my tuition's free, so I'm
Exactly.
going to get everything out of this experience.
That's like pretty much how I did it.
You extra smart.
Extra, and in different languages at that.
You know what I mean?
So what was it like, Sophie, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what was it like to have like your mom as a faculty member? Did that make for awkward situations, or was it just cool? Like, what was it like for you guys?
I guess a little, like, ever since we've been young, we've been like going on my mom's study abroads and stuff. So it's like really funny. Like, I remember being like 9, going to like France and like bothering the students. And Remy also went on a lot of them as well. And we still continue to. So we went to Martinique, the Caribbean, where my mom is from. And we went with a group of students and did some of the things with them. And it was fun. Like, we just had go on. But then it's funny, on campus, I just wasn't like a big school person, I think. And just, I was anxious just about feeling like people were watching me, or things were like, because it was a big school, like a mid-sized school, but still pretty big. But since we grew up there, I felt like I knew it really well. But just walking down on campus, I feel like people would like look at me like, oh, and I'll be like, maybe they recognize me from my mom's like PowerPoint presentation about her family, or people would stop me and be like, oh my God, is your mom Flora Poindexter? And I'll be like, yeah. But sometimes it's also funny. Like, I had a lot of friends take her class. My friend met her now husband in my mom's class, which is hilarious. And my mom like loves her students, so she makes sure like stay in touch with the good ones and stuff like that.
Not the good ones.
Only the good ones,
right? What about you?
Yeah,
Remy? What was that experience?
I think it's kind of the same. Like, you get a little piece of home like on campus. Like, you know, I would always go to mom's office and like print, or like we'd like order sushi or something and just like eat lunch together. It's kind of nice if you're feeling, I don't know. But our house was so close to campus, it was a little like ridiculous, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah, like,
it makes,
I could walk like 1 year. Yeah, like 1 year, I literally, my apartment was like a 15-minute walk to our house. So I would just do like laundry there and things like that. And I also would get like sushi with mom, because her office was right across from the art building. So she would just be like, hey, like, do you have lunch? And I'd be like, no. She's like, I'm going to order some sushi. Come to the office. It was always sushi or Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, so it's two things. Or both, honestly.
If those are not on opposite spectrums, okay.
Always sushi or Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A or sushi.
Yeah.
Y'all are so cute. It's just so precious, Anna. They're just sitting and getting sushi for lunch and getting recognized. So you were well behaved on campus, because, you know, at this point everybody knows who your mom is.
Yeah.
So it's just locking down and studying, huh?
Yeah, you have to be a little careful.
I don't know. I feel like Sophie might have had a little streak. What was you doing, Sophie? You were well behaved the entire time?
Yeah, I was college. Yeah. Kind of.
Why did Remy start laughing?
It's just like school was like, I don't know, I feel like I've always thrived in like smaller classes and stuff, which is why I did enjoy my major, because it was very small compared to like the rest of the school. But I was probably like one of 3 or 4 like Black people, including my professor in my major. Actually, I had Black professors, which was good. But like, other than that, it was like I only hung out with those people. So I feel like freshman year, I did have like a party phase, because I went to all girls Catholic high school and I had never done like anything. And I just like, it was 2016, and I just like kind of was like, I'm in a state school. Let me like go to frats and stuff. And I remember I had this like whole party, like friend group. And there was one night I just was like in the middle of a party, and I was like, this is the same thing every time. They're playing like the chain smokers, and they're playing like, I don't know. I was just like, oh, like, and I just left and like never went to another frat party. My friends were like, where did you go that night? And I was like, my head was cleared. Like, I was definitely like in the rough a little freshman year, wearing like Vineyard Vines hats, and then my hair was so damaged because I had just come from like this all white like Catholic school. But definitely needed to do some like self-exploring, which I did.
That's dope though.
I think we all did.
Come so far. Right?
I mean, what are we doing in college if we're not doing
Yeah.
that? Like, that's the whole point.
I know. I always think like, oh, if I could go back like now and I'm the way I am now, it'd be like so cool. But it's like that's not how it works.
Right?
That is
At all.
That's not the point. No.
It's good because it got you to where you are now. So it's good. What about you, Remi? Did you go to any parties or anything like that?
Yeah, but less.
You had so many classes to study for. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like
there were a lot of clubs.
Yeah, I feel like
and the heart.
Yeah. I do feel like we had a different journey though, because like I was coming from. So we both went to this like really hippie K-8 school, like where we were some of the only Black people. But yeah, Sophie went to this all-girls Catholic school, and I went to like a public school in Wilmington, which is like a big city. So there were a lot of Black people actually. So I feel like I had like a slightly different experience, I guess, coming out of that. A mild identity crisis, I guess, because I didn't feel like I fit in like with any group really. It's a little different now, I feel like, for like growing up Black, because you see like, you know, Black nerds or whatever. But at the time I was kind of like,
yeah, exactly. I feel like
yeah.
No,
you're fine.
There just like wasn't a lot of representation for like weird Black girl growing up, so it's always like, why are you acting so different? Like, you're so weird. Like, or in high school, like it'd be like, you're not Black, you're French, and I was like, what? Like, I am. Like, what does that mean? Like, what? I am clearly a Black woman. Like, it's like, it was just so. I don't know, like, so weird. And then now I feel like there's so much more It's like, hey, Black people can be nerds, and they can be artists, and they can like rock and roll.
Yeah, you can do whatever.
It was like not like that before.
Yeah. So I feel like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the media does a good job, right? The media does a good job of trying to keep us in a box, but we always been the things.
Yeah.
We just often have not been able to see us in all the ways.
Exactly.
Because we out here nerding it out. Okay.
So I remember getting to college and being like, oh, like who are my people gonna be? You know, so like, you know, it is a big state school, so it was kind of. I gravitated to like, I made a lot of like South Asian friends, and like my best friend from high school went to college with me. So that was nice to have like one person who knew me like from all the different phases of my life. We started a beatbox crew, which was really now bad. It's like kind of cringe, but
oh, Remi, you got to do it.
I want you already know.
You got to do
like,
it.
UD heartbeats.
So good.
Like, you know, it was like.
What? Hold on.
Don't stop now.
Keep going. That was fire.
Like, you know, like
they opened for events.
Yeah, it was. Nobody had really heard of beatboxing, so everybody was like, "Oh, like these guys are so good!" And we performed at a step show and stuff, and we would like do the whisper song, like. And people would be like, "Oh," and
I was ready. I started whispering.
What you doing, little mama? Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Tell you some things that you'd like to hear.
You know the funniest to that is like they thought you guys were creating something so new because they had never been exposed to it whatsoever.
We could never do it now. Like,
fire,
we could never. Like there's
like first to do it. Like no.
But we get booked at like all these events, so that was kind of. In a way, like, I mean, not to make it like too symbolic, but I feel like that was my intro to a lot of like the Black culture on campus. Cause like the step show would book us, like the Center for Black Culture, we were always working with. So I feel like that was like, at least I knew some faces around UD, which was kind of cool. But most of my friends, were like Indian and from my classes and stuff. So, you know, art history, I was definitely the only Black person and still am. But yeah, it's kind of finding your people was important.
Maybe even go a little deeper into that, Sophie, because it is a unique experience to like, even though, sorry, your cat just jumped up on something behind you. But like, even though, you know, you guys live close, like basically on campus, but you deciding to now, you know, live on campus and just like really go through like the self-discovery phase, but then also like you're more unique because a whole pandemic happened in the middle of your college experience. So maybe talk through that. Like what was it like kind of once you started with then into COVID and then now on the back end of that? What was that like for you?
Yeah, like definitely the beginning of COVID, I feel like I had finally gotten to a place where I was like really well with my studies and I was doing consistent stuff. I was really taking advantage of all the art resources we have. So we had like an open studio, which was nice, and like a senior studio so we could do work there. And I used to love like designing by hand and really using my hands, like scanning, cutting. And then COVID, I remember just being in class, like in my race and society class, and our teacher was like in the middle of a conversation and he checks his email and he was just like, oh, class is over. Like, bye guys. And we are like, forever? Like, what? And we are like,
Right.
we're like, okay. It was just like, yeah, like school shut down. Because I remember even before COVID had hit, we were like talking about it. Like, do we think it's going to be a thing? And I was like, I say the school closes for 6 months tops. And boy, was I wrong. Like I was not well informed. But then I remember everything transitioning online was a bit hard for me because I'm such a like in-person by hand type of artist, and like the way I learn, it worked best in like group environments. And it was just like, so at first I was just like, what is happening? I remember there was one day in COVID, like the early days when you didn't know if you could even like go outside or not. Um, there was just a day I ordered like a dozen donuts and just like ate all of them. And was just like, what is happening? I was just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, might as well get some donuts.
But this is how we get through COVID. Okay.
Yeah, I was just like,
a dozen donuts.
Yeah. And then I lived at home my 5th year, which was good because it's so close to campus. I was able to have like a little setup there and get back into my groove. I got a new like printer and scanner. I bought it off a friend. So I was able to really craft and do things there. But it definitely was a struggle just because a lot of things were canceled. We were supposed to go to London on like a graphic design trip and go to all these big like agencies. And it was just a really good opportunity. But I wasn't able to go because of COVID. But it's okay because I did like still benefit through study abroad. I was able to study abroad in, was it 2018, 2019, I think. I think it was 2019. I went to Morocco. I think it, yeah.
Nice.
I think it was 2019. So I did have like an amazing experience in Morocco, and I'm glad I was able to do that. But I felt bad for people who hadn't studied abroad and were looking for like this one opportunity too, and then it's just canceled. So, but yeah, and then by the time I graduated, like some things were more in person again, and I got a job on campus, or off campus, but like at a restaurant, basically on campus. And I was doing just photography and design for them, and I made friends through that. So that gave me an excuse to like get out of the house and still have a routine, which was nice.
COVID in school. I mean, my father, my sister are both teachers. They were both teaching during COVID. And they teaching elementary students. I don't know how them kids got through it.
Listen.
You know, my dad knocking 70. He was like, what am I doing?
But for real, like
for real.
It's a lot. Like my daughter it was her kindergarten year. Like it was her very first year of school and it happened in the middle. And I remember just at the end, they let us go and like pick up the supplies that we had left at the school at the beginning of the year. And I just took all them teachers' flowers. I was like, respect. Because the things that the teachers had to kind of go through, you could just hear them. And it's always like someone's camera's off and someone doesn't know what they're doing. And the parents in the background trying to troubleshoot. It just, it's a lot. Like, respect. Respect
it
to
really
the teachers.
changes like everything. It's
yeah, I was teaching during COVID. Like I was teaching at Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Rem, you got like PhDs. Were you still in school? Okay, so you were teaching.
Yes, I was in school.
So what level were you
college?
teaching?
So I was teaching at Brooklyn College, like through my PhD. but yeah, we switched to online, and it was kind of like what Sophie was saying, is like I'd ask a question and it would just be quiet, and I was like, oh my god, like please somebody
Yeah,
talk.
people are like in bed.
Party on at this PWI. So one of our segments is called Rock On. So the segment goes, what was that first white song that you learned when you got to campus and that you did not know before you landed at University of Delaware? Remy, you first.
Yeah.
What you
So I
got?
think for me, it was definitely Sweet Caroline. I'd never heard that song before college. And
that's banana.
and like people love that song, you know, it's like,
yes.
And I just was like, where is it? Like, where did it come from? Like, and there was this thing Tuesday nights at this bar called Jefe, and it was like a guy who would play the guitar, and it was basically a big sing along, and he'd do all types of music, but Sweet Caroline was like a big hit, and I remember people like going wild, and I was like, I've never heard this song, and that was it.
Did they request it every week? I feel like someone was like, play Sweet Caroline, like every week.
He would do the same songs every week, and that was part of the magic. Is like you knew exactly what the song order was going to be, and it would end with Sweet Caroline and Country Roads. You guys had Jefe too, right, Sophie? Like,
Country Roads.
Yeah, but I didn't go. I never knew that it was a thing. I just wasn't informed. But I did go to other themed nights. I went to like emo night with my friends, and they had just a throwback emo. So I like
emo night. Okay.
Yeah, they'd have like a cover band at the bar. It's funny because the bars there are some Grottos is like the main bar everyone goes to. It's more like frat sorority. Like, let's go to Grottos. And then there's Deer Park, which was more like a tavern town vibes, but they had cover bands there, and they brought in a lot of college students because when I was little, it was mostly just like guys with motorcycles hanging out there, and then they brought in a deal where it was just like a pitcher of alcohol for
it was
like
$3
so
it's
something.
ridiculous, like to think of how cheap stuff was.
Ridiculous. This thing was huge. The amount people were drinking, like,
listen,
I couldn't believe it. Like, I had one of those, and I was like, what? People would drink like 3 of them. But yeah,
yeah, alcohol is very accessible and cheap.
Yeah,
in college. I look back and be like, I drank that. Yeah,
I just would drink anything really. Now it's like nice to have taste.
That's true.
Then you're really like looking for anything that will get you drunk. You're like Everclear, like I'll drink that. Like I remember finding like Everclear in Remy's closet and like using it as a pregame thing, and it's like, why would I do that? Why?
Remy had the stash of Everclear.
Yeah, that was after I started drinking.
Why was that in your closet? It was like, well, you were in New York at the time, and then I guess it was like back home.
Yeah.
The closet is where Everclear belongs, okay? Nobody deserves to be in the closet. No one. Everclear needs to be in the closet.
It's funny though, because Remy went from I didn't drink freshman year to Everclear.
Yeah. Pretty much.
There's a big leap, Remy. That is a big leap.
That's funny. Now it's like the opposite. I feel like I'm not much of a drinker, but not saying Remy's like drinker, but like you do drink.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
not like the normal amount.
This is not my peak.
I love how Sophie tried to walk that back a little bit. The normal amount.
Right. I'm not saying.
I'm not saying anything.
To be clear. Okay, cool. Sophie, you said you went to emo night. What's some music they had there?
They had just like, what was it? Fall Out Boy, things like that. And I remember starting college in 2016, like the music era was very interesting because it was a lot of like Hotline Bling, Amine, like just like Drake, like those rappers. And then a lot that like the Chainsmokers, who I never understood like what? They're just like two guys, like two white guys. Like I was like, they don't. I can't even like remember what they look like because I feel like every guy on campus like looked like that. Like, and their songs were just like always at every frat party and it was just like the chain smoker.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, it was like music wise pretty bad. And then also it was like the Trump era. So there was just a lot of like but,
that's a whole nother show.
Mhm.
Yes.
The Orange Man era.
And
Yeah.
that's such an obvious thing that I didn't even think about. Dang, Sophie. Dang.
Yeah, it was
There was a
just
lot happening in college experience.
Yeah, I feel like it was very filled with many different like COVID, like Trump getting elected. Because I remember in class, like our professors, a lot of them canceled class the day he was elected. We had one class, and I remember a teacher was like sobbing in class. I remember there was a guy, like the white woman tears, but still like upsetting. But like I remember there was a guy in my class that was just like, "Who did you vote for?" And I was like, Larry, like obviously. And I was like, "Who did you vote for?" And he's like, "I don't want to hurt your feelings." And I was like, "What? That obviously means you voted for Trump."
Ew, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Ew. I'm
Ain't got nothing to do with my feelings. We're talking about our democracy. Okay, I digress.
Yes.
I was like,
A
"No."
whole nother show. A whole nother show.
Yeah. I was like,
But that's such a different vibe.
but yeah,
'cause,
there's a lot of different
like I was there during like when Obama was elected, so it was more like like it was like
right?
the complete opposite. We were like, yeah, we could change the world. We did it. Like it's solved now. Like,
Everything's fixed.
It's like we could do anything if we put our minds to
racism
it.
over.
Oh gosh. The tale of two presidencies.
Yeah, but it's
Ooh.
also funny because Biden went to the University
Oh,
of
true,
Delaware.
true.
So yeah, when you're from Delaware, it's like everybody knows who
Yeah.
Biden is. Like my best friend, her dad is like Biden's vet, and it's like everyone is like connected to him. But it's funny because that was like I guess the same era too. But
That's a lot.
yeah,
That's a lot there. All right, I think that's a good transition to our next segment. It's about There's No Place Like Home. 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 So was there ever a moment where you wanted to click your heels 3 times and skedaddle right on up that road back home and just kind of leave that environment? I'll start with you, Remi.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there were a couple times where I didn't feel like I fit in, and it was partially like race related. Like once I dressed up, so it was Halloween 2008. I dressed up as Obama and went to like some random, and basically me dressing up as Obama at that school was just wearing like a suit, you know. But it was a lazy Halloween costume. And but I went to some frat party and like there were people who hated Obama in that basement, and it was like that I did look around me and I was like, oh, like me and my best friend who's like from Pakistan, like we were the only 2 like non-white people in the basement, and I was like, oh, like we're like literally underground, and people are like, this girl was like, I hate him, and like people are getting a little aggro, and I was just like, oh, like time to back up and go to the Jewish frat, you know, where it's more welcoming or something like that.
Gosh,
and then there was
that's a lot.
It was a lot. It was like also I was like, you know, I'm like 18, like I don't know what anybody's talking about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Wow.
There was this other time where like a UD cop kind of like came at me. And I was just like hanging out with my friends doing, you know, whatever a college student does. And he like came up and said like I was ghettoizing campus and stuff. So like that was kind of scary.
What?
Mm-hmm. That was like a stereotypical like it sounded like it was scripted, you know?
Yeah. So what ended up happening? Like, did he just kind of drive off?
Yeah, he was just, so we were just, we were just like talking and sitting in like a garden, and he was like, you know, like they spend a lot on landscaping and it's not so it can be ghettoized by people like you. And I was like, and then he was like, I'm going to write your name down. Then he just left. But I think he was just like, thankfully after that, I had good experiences with like UD PD or whatever, but I think it was just like one person who was, I think they've since left, but I don't know. That was a really weird incident, you know.
Did you report him?
I did. So there's like a diversity or like some kind of minority survey every year to see like what our experiences were like or whatever. And I was like, I had this experience on campus. So, you know, hopefully they did something about it.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
But it seemed like somebody with
That
like
was
holdovers from another era, you know, like the younger
like,
ones were like,
after
you
the
know,
election,
usually
I
pretty
remember I was just
chill.
walking to my friend's place and a group of frat guys would just like call me the N-word on the street. And there were moments what? Like, I'm just walking. I don't know. It was just so wild during that time. People chanting, like, build the wall. It was a lot. Like, you go to any party, people are like, build the wall. So I definitely felt like self-conscious during that time. I wasn't as confident because I was just like, oh, everyone around me is telling me I like shouldn't be who I am. And then I finally was just like, oh my God, like, I'm hot and also I'm like, they're wrong. Like, you know, it was just like, yeah, like, but there was other moments. It was funny, like freshman year. I remember wanting to leave. Like, I feel like Remy and I were always like the people chosen for like pictures on campus in Delaware in general, because I guess there's not a lot of Black people in Delaware. But it's like our mom's always like the person you see like on an ad of like campus professors and our faces. And I remember we'd be in class and like pictures would be taken. I was like, oh, like, please don't put my face on like the newspaper. And then it would be like me in the paper or something like in class. Like, I was like, no. Like we were always like the token like Black person. They're like, there's a diverse looking person. Like they're gonna represent. Like we always were. I remember just being like, I want to go.
Yeah, you have to wear a good outfit if you're going to like a school event, you know.
Yeah, because it's like
you know your picture.
Yeah, like in high school, I was like that person too. I remember like there was like I've been in the paper like, so many times. Like,
oh my!
Like a ridiculous. Like it's like. Well, and it'd always be funny because the caption. Like I remember in high school when I was in the papers because they removed snow days and replaced them with cyber days. I guess they were ahead of their time, honestly. But at the time, we were like, that sucks.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, we were like, but the whole point of a snow day is that you have fun. And they had a picture of me like on my laptop. It was like, Pat, the school removes like snow days. And there was like a picture of me on my computer. And I remember at the time I was literally like on Twitter and they took a picture of me and then that's what the picture they used. And it looked like I was so studious.
Meanwhile, you're tweeting about
life. And they're like, students react to like snow days. Like I was like,
you were tweeting, I hate this cyber day.
I have a quick question before we go into the last segment, Remy, because when you had that experience as dressing up like Obama, and say, you know, I'm about to go to the Jewish frat because this is whack, you know. Were the Black frats or like the Black Student Union? Did you feel welcome there?
The Black frats, I didn't feel like that was my scene, and I think it'd be maybe different now too. Like I think I really came along on this like journey because yeah, like coming out of high school, I was like I didn't feel like I fit in with like mainstream, whatever that means, mainstream Black culture or like mainstream white whatever culture. So I kind of just like tried to find like random people rather than like big groups that were like we are this or that. But Black Student Union and like the Center for Black Culture, I always felt welcome, mainly because they would also do events like, you know, there was a Caribbean thing they would work with. They would work with like the Latina. It just seemed like they worked with any non-white culture, like was welcome at the Center for Black Culture. And that felt more inclusive to me, like as somebody who felt like they had a different Black identity. And then I was also in this thing called Nucleus, which was like it was like a study group for people of color. So that was kind of like a nice welcoming space. So I'd go to that office a lot actually. And just like somebody would say hi and it was nice. So there were spaces I felt like welcome in.
Cool.
But Black frats, I just, maybe now it'd be different, but I felt like it was too intense for me at the time. But looking back, it was probably fine, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, that's the thing too. Like all of us find our spaces in different places, and you're holding like multiple identities. We're bringing like all of who we are, how we grew up, all these things into these spaces. And we're all at
While
these
evolving.
PWIs while evolving and figuring out who in the world we are in all of this.
Absolutely.
And then, white folks will tell you real quick what they think about who you
Right.
are. And then you're like, all right.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah, college, it was definitely such a journey for like my identity, because I feel like I would always be like, oh, like I don't want to be someone who stands out. So I'm going to do everything I can to just blend in with all these like white people, and nobody's going to like notice me just because I am anxious and I always feel like someone's watching me. But I was just like, I don't want like anyone looking at me on campus, because people would be like, I don't know. But then now it's like, oh, that's awesome that I have all these different identities. Like, yeah, I want to stand out. Like, like, yeah, why would I want to be like normal?
Also, yeah,
normal's
I
overrated.
love that journey. You found yourself through all of that, and you still are. That's the beauty of the journey. Because I think that like in different ways, you guys grew up in like a crazy diverse like type situation, like traveling like crazy. Your mom a professor, and then like culturally like having to do things where it's like you probably feel like you're too black for white spaces, you're too white for white sounding or whatever for black spaces. But I feel like that's some things that, I feel like even a lot of people that attended PWIs, especially black people, even ran into like coming up in certain cultures. So like going through that space at a PWI and finding yourself and then finding your tribe by proxy, and it just kind of helps you evolve. I just think it's dope to kind of hear like who you guys were going in, who you were coming out, and even where you are today, because you can see like the full circle evolution, and it's still stuff that you're like, okay, they said this about me, but this is where I am, this is who I am, and having pride of it, of both sides, in a way that it made you kind of now at this peak of who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of us experience, culturally and going through the PWI system as well.
I have a question. How did you know?
How did you know?
So for our last segment, we always want to know, what was that moment when you were on campus and you realized, yeah, this is exactly where I want to be. There's no place like home. Like this feels like, despite the fact that it was free tuition, which might make this question a little hard.
and Anna, that home was across the street.
Like down the street. Like this is a unique situation in this case, in this episode. But how did you know that University of Delaware, in the face of all of that, was like the place you were meant to go for school?
I guess I'll start, but I think it was like when I started finding like my people, like just having because I had friends all over the place by the end of it. So I had like multicultural friends from my classes who were white, whatever. But I felt like there was a point where everybody I knew had like the same values and stuff. So then it felt more like, regardless of like, we all kind of were outliers, like culturally or whatever. And then we'd see each other on campus and be like, hey, what are you doing? And when it started to feel like I had people to like meet up with, it was like a family in school kind of. I had like my barber on campus who was like a black guy. I would like go to his dorm and he'd cut my hair. I'd have like my lunch crew and all these different people.
Love that. Shout out to your barber.
He was
okay.
He definitely made money at UD. Like he like.
Right? I get it.
He said, I'm here for school, but this hustle right here, though. This hustle at a PWI, okay.
Right? And it's hard to find a good barber, especially in those spaces. Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah, they'll probably pay his tuition.
Sure he was an RA, too, so he was getting paid, living, like, his barbershop was his room. Like, it was clutch.
Oh, he had nobody to regulate. He had to regulate himself. He had all types of appointments. Okay.
Yes. Forget quiet hours.
I'm cutting hair right now.
What about you, Sophie?
I think just once I met people, like more artists within my major, and I did make a lot of good friends in college. Some people aren't even my major. Like one of my best friends, and she's like half Dutch. So we bonded over the fact we were like bilingual. We just became friends. We did a summer program before college, just take like writing and math class, and we met there, and immediately we were friends. So just meeting those people, and I'm like, oh, if I hadn't gone to this place, I would have never met these people that are so important to me. And now I have a lot of other like artist friends, and just like a good community. I still speak with the professors, and I like respect them a lot. So it's just good to have those connections.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do y'all go on campus now and have sushi with your mom?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I guess like because I was there like a couple of weeks ago. It's funny, like I go to the art shows sometimes, and we went to the spring or the senior show in the spring, and it was nice to just see all my professors because they want to know like where you are, where you went. And it was funny, my college professor is just like this amazing illustrator, and she was my first ever college professor. She was also this like beautiful Black woman, so I like looked up to her so much. Like I was just like, wow. And then she just was like telling me how like proud she was of me, because I really did start college so like depressed, like wearing the Vineyard Vines hats, and then she just saw this person I was, and I was explaining like I work for DCP and things like that. She was just like, oh my gosh, like wow, like yeah, she always was just a good professor. There's some people in the network, it's just really good to just keep in touch. Yeah, it's always good to go back. It's funny having your college be in your hometown, because when everyone would like, I don't know, I never had like a place to go back to. Like people were always like, oh, I'm going back to my hometown and seeing all my hometown friends. And I was like, well, like I'm here, like no student. Like,
This is it.
I'm just here in the winter.
Guess I'll go across the street.
It's lifeless. But it was still like, now moving out, I have such a bigger appreciation for it, because now I have something like to come back to. So now that I live in Philly, I enjoy going back to Delaware and having that new perspective.
Yeah. That's so true. Like I actually feel like the people I met from Delaware, I became closer with them after college. Like weirdly, like living in New York, the subset of Delaware people who move there are all kind of similar too. And that, looking back, I'm like, wow, like these were the people I was meant to be with. And they're all from, like my partner's from UD too. And she moved here with me. So it's like all of these people I wouldn't have met if I hadn't gone there. But it was like later in life.
That's true. Yeah, like my partner's also from UD, and I was like, I just wouldn't have met him if I had. So now it's like, oh, like, I don't know, I'm like, it all was meant to happen.
University of Delaware is in the DNA at this point.
I know.
This point, listen.
This is what I'm hearing. I think Mom did good. Mama Poindexter is very proud.
Yeah.
Yes.
But our parents didn't go to University of Delaware, though.
Yeah, they met at an HBCU.
I guess my mom. Yeah. Yeah, they met at Lincoln University.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think when she came from France, she went to Lincoln.
Yeah, she was doing, I don't know what she was doing, but she was doing some teaching a French thing, or I don't know.
Yeah. Your mom's story in itself is just so interesting.
Like, she does a lot.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. We appreciate y'all joining the show today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Thanks, y'all, for coming on.
So Remi, what was your like beatbox name? Did you go by any special
name? we were UD Heartbeats with a Z. It was cool.
Yes. It is always cool with the Z. Okay. So as we sign out, can you take us out one more time with some beats? I'm with it. Thanks for joining the head nod. Hit us with some beats.
Thank you for tuning in to the Head Nod Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on the Qube app and at DCP Official across social. Family, follow my sis Adell at I am Adell Coleman across all socials.
And follow the coolest to ever do it, Anna DeShawn at Anna DeShawn on all socials.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts. And if you really dig it, leave a rating and a review. Keep nodding your heads with us. Until next time, this is the Head Nod.